Hey guys, Pentar here. I know I'm a little late to the party, but new information has been revealed about the AMD threadripper, such as models, core count, hertz, so like frequency, and price rank. Now, currently, there's only two known models that are currently going to be available. There is the threadripper 1950X and the threadripper 1920X. The 1950X will have 16 cores, 32 threads, base frequency of 3.4 GHz, turbo frequency of 4 GHz, and 32 megabytes of L3 cache, total like TDP of 180 watts. It can have 60 plus 64 PCI Express lanes. It is currently unknown the frequency of the RAM that's allowed, but it will have support up to quad channel DDR4 memory support. But here's the thing, because of the size of the Threadripper, because essentially it's like two, two Ryzen, it's a bunch of Ryzen CPUs glued together essentially. Not glued together as Intel would put it, which it's probably a pretty bad term to use, but it's not because it's not really gluing. It's kind of more closer to soldering or threading together. I guess they would say Andy threading together. So all of that comes down to $1,000, which you are expecting, which is actually supposed to be very close in performance to the top. The new is going to be the top Intel Core i9. I can't remember if it's going to be up there on the screen, but it's going to be very close in performance to the current which is going to be the most powerful Core i9 they're going to have available soon. And also another thing, the actually interesting thing about the Threadripper is that they're actually switching to the LGA, which is the same type of socket Intel uses, which is actually really good because now you don't have to worry about the pins breaking. Because when you have the pins on the motherboard, the chance of you breaking those such set of pins is much slimmer. With AMD CPUs, which even though I really do want to get one, please sponsor me, AMD. I'm joking. While the Ryzen's, most of the Ryzen's use, not most Ryzen's, I guess Threadripper's separate, but since Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5, and soon to be Ryzen 3 will all use PJ, which is it's a decent system. It's really delicate. If you touch it in a slightly wrong way, it will cause it to break, which is the downside of PJ. The new one, this new Threadripper, will be using LGA, which is the same system Intel uses, which, personally, in my opinion, is actually a better one. Now, the Threadripper 1920X will have 12 cores, 24 threads, a base clock of 3.5 GHz, turbo boost of a turbo frequency of 4 GHz, 64 PCI Express slots, same X399 chipset support, and a much lower $800. Now, for comparison, another comparison to go with is to compare to their once highest level chip, the Ryzen 7 1800X, which is 8 cores, 16 threads, base clock of 3.6 GHz, turbo frequency of 4 GHz, 60 megabytes of L3 cache, a TDP of 95 watt, 26 PCI Express lanes. It supported DDR4 2666 megahertz and 2400 megahertz RAM, and was listed. Its listed price is $500, but you can often find it at retail for $420. Now, let's compare that to the Intel chips. The AMD Threadripper 1950X, we're going to compare to the Intel, as I was saying, is very close in performance to the Intel Core i9's 7980XE, which will be go back up in the picture, and will have 18 cores, 36 threads. Unknown currently the clock speed. You will be able to go up to 44 PCI Express lanes, 1 megabyte of L2 cache, and 24.75 megabytes of L3 cache. Currently an unknown TDP, and will go for $2,000. Now you can already see what's going on, why a lot of people aren't necessarily happiest right now with Intel's chip and Intel's what's going on right now. Intel, as you can see here, as a comparison, Intel is just having these ridiculously high prices. There's also the Intel Xeon Gold X6150, which will have 18 cores, 36 threads as well, a base clock of 2.7 GHz, 3.7 GHz, 44 PCI Express lanes, 1 megabyte per core, which is I've been through this entire time. 1 megabyte of L2 cache per core, and 24.275 megabytes of L3 cache, a TDP of 165 watts, and a pricing of 3 cells of 350. Now the Xeon isn't necessarily as important to compare, considering it's the server chip. It's not really meant to be played as gaming or enthusiast. Now AMD, in my opinion, because I used to be a very stark Team Blue, but AMD has come back in the running. AMD has proven themselves well capable with this new Ryzen line, and have proven that Intel has some changing to the strategy, and have proven that you can have great chips for a cheap price. Now, while I do think having more competition is nice to see, so don't get me wrong, don't think I'm some big now AMD fanboy who wants AMD to win everything and always believed in AMD, because if you know my CPU right now, it's actually an i5, just because for a long time Intel was actually the best and AMD was failing behind. But currently AMD's gone back up, and I see no real reason to ever go on Intel's side right now. So how do I feel about this news here? I think it's actually pretty good to hear, because if you look at all these things, you're noticing that the AMD Threadripper and AMD Ryzen, you look at all the comparisons and you realize the difference is actually quite small in gaming. They have made a huge comeback, and for the price of like an i5, you get way better CPU. Sure, the gaming performance is still going to be slightly better on an i5, but if you like to stream or you like to record, you like to do any heavy thing, editing programs or anything of those sorts, then the answer right now is clearly AMD. For the price of an i5, you get for the price of an i5 in a low tier one at that you get a 6-core 12-threaded chip. And well, sure, that chip may not, it may not actually work. I mean, not work. Let me phrase it. It may not actually run as well in like certain games. It's still a better chip overall for a better price than you would get for Intel. Honestly, I'm just glad to hear more competition, because more competition you hear and see in games and things like that, well, the better it's gonna be for us, the consumer. Because they constantly battling each other. We have more money, so I hope AMD keeps this up and Threadripper ends up being as promising as it appears to be. Because I am hoping, holding out hope, that Threadripper actually does well and it competes with Intel. Because Intel right now is on some sort of high horse, thinking they can price whatever they want right now for whatever processor, and putting ridiculously high prices on chips that shouldn't be that much. So yeah, talk to you guys later. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below whether you're Team Blue or Team Red. See you next time.